what we were doing and what the assessment looks like. So I hope you guys got the email that I sent last week about how the assessment or the new assignment is going to be on May 4th. That's when it's due. So let me put up this new paper here. All right, so we're going to use this as a review. Okay, remember there are 3 parts to the, I say 3 parts. I mean, the assessment paper is 1 page. But you'll see there's 3 parts. There's this top part here. Then there's the email from your supervisor. And then there's the box here, which has a lot of the main problems, and the suggestions, or you can call them solutions. Now, you have not seen this practice paper before. This one's new, and I will be sending it. I don't think I've sent it yet. I'll have to check, but I don't think I have. I'll be sending it probably tomorrow afternoon to you so that you can have it to look at. All right, so let's review. Up at the top, you'll have your basic information about the assessment. What I mean by basic information is they'll tell you your name in the situation. So in this situation, you're Jackie Lau. They give you your job title, which is administration officer, and they tell you where you work, which is Max Trading. Okay, then it says you have just received the following email from your supervisor, Paul Young. Read his email and make your own notes below, and write an email reply to Paul on the next page. Okay, let's see. Okay, make sure that you use appropriate language to explain causes and effects. So remember we talked about causes and effects in our last class in Unit 7, and we'll go briefly over that again today just as a review. You want to compare and contrast and evaluate different alternatives to make recommendations. Now this one right here, when you compare and contrast, basically what they're asking you to do is when you have to compare and contrast, it's when you get to this one right here. Remember, this one is special. How do you know it's special? You see the / and the question mark. When you see the / and the question mark, you know there's 2 solutions, solution 1 and solution 2. Okay, and you have to give the advantage and disadvantage of solution 1, and you have to give the advantage and disadvantage of solution 2. Remember, the advantage and disadvantage are not on the assessment paper anywhere. You don't see them. You have to add those ideas. So that's what they really mean by comparing and contrasting, because you're comparing solution 1 to solution 2. And then it says evaluate different alternatives. Well, that's what you're doing. When you talk about the advantage and disadvantage of solution 1 and the advantage of disadvantage and disadvantage of solution 2, that's the evaluation. So don't get too worried about those words at the top of the paper. As long as you do all the things that I've been talking about in class, you'll be fine. All right, so then it says you should write about 300 words. Do not forget to edit and proofread your email. Students, don't worry too much about the 300 word count or if it needs to be 250 words. Remember, we talked about this word here being 6. As long as you use necessary words, you're okay. If you use unnecessary words, that's when there could possibly be a problem. Okay, so just make sure you are succinct and you should be all right. All right, so let's go back to the practice paper again. And I have to move the screen, sorry. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about your boss's email. So the subject line is company website. Remember, I told you you can use the subject line in your opening paragraph. So remember, here are the words company website. If we go down to the opening paragraph, we see the words problems with the company website. So you can use those words in your opening paragraph because you kind of need to summarize the big problem. And the big problem is that there's a big problem with the company website. Okay, and these problems down here, these 4 problems come together to create this big problem that you see in the subject line. All right, so anyway, here's the email. Dear Jackie, in yesterday's meeting, the board of directors showed considerable concern about the survey results on customer satisfaction level with the company. This year, the feedback seems quite unfavorable, right? So they didn't get very good feedback, especially the comments about the company website. Please, would you take a look at the problems with the website and suggest what we need to do to solve them? Can I have your reply by the end of this week? Please, thanks, Paul. Okay, so just remember, somewhere in your boss's email, you can use the subject line to help you with the opening paragraph. Then they're going to say something like, please look at the problems and find out what the problems really are and suggest ways how to solve them. Okay, and that's why here are the problems on this side, and they give you more information, and then the suggestions or solutions how to solve those are over here. Okay, all right, so what I didn't do and what I should have done first, and I'm sorry, students, let's go down to the vocabulary really quick. So you can see all these dark words here, the bold words, that's vocabulary. So I'll go through them very quickly. Like I said, I don't think I've sent this document to you yet, but I will send it to you by tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. It might be tomorrow evening, but it will be by Friday. It will be in your inbox. All right, so here we've got our vocabulary. We've got the word considerable. Notice what that means. That's kind of like amount. We've got unfavorable, we've got especially, we've got the content. I think guys, most of you guys probably know link. So we're talking about internet. Navigation, okay, and I gave you an example, okay. I should say this, it's not in here. Navigation, you'll notice, is a noun. If you wanted to use as a verb, like how easy it is to use a website, the verb, I don't know if you guys know this, would be navigate. Okay, navigate's the verb, navigation is the noun. Okay, just so you know. Just a little bit of extra information there. All right, we've got the word compatible. Notice it's normally used with the word with. So we've got compatible with. So like it's compatible with iOS, it's compatible with Android, something like that. And again, we've got an example sentence here to help you. All right, browsers, we've got layout. This is what layout is. Don't confuse it with layup if you're, watching NBA basketball. So we've got layout here. We've got the word resolution. This is how clear something is when you look at it. Again, we've got an example. We've got color scheme, okay? And then we've got text, which are the words. We've got background, and I give you an example, okay? Because the background can sometimes affect how easy it is to read something. We've got out of date, okay? And then we've got manpower, which I guess really you should call it human power. All right, let's begin now. All right, so just to go over quickly, remember, they will tell you the name, your job title, and where you work at the top. Then you'll have your boss's email. Remember, you can use the subject line to help you with the opening paragraph. And then they'll tell you, please look at the problems and please tell us how to solve them. All right, so now we get to the big main part of the paper. Okay, so this is where you're going to be spending a lot of time. This is where you're going to use a lot of the information to help you write your answer. So on this side, we've got the problems, and there's actually two pieces of information. There's the problem, which is the top piece of information, and then the second piece of information in the brackets, this is more information about the problem, okay? So we've got, the first problem is lack of focus and organization with the website, because remember, the problems are with the company website. Okay, so we've got lack of focus and organization. Why? What's more information about that? There's too much content and too many links. Okay, what should we do? How should we solve this? We should have some sort of navigation menu. All right, next, the website's not compatible with browsers. More information about that, e.g., so you know that here you can use the words for example. So for example, Google Chrome, Firefox, and Opera. So it's not compatible with these browsers. All right, how should we fix this? Improve the layout and resolution. That's the suggested solution. Remember, you need to add the advantage of this suggested solution, and you need to add the advantage of this suggested solution. The advantages are not on the assessment paper, okay? You have to add your own idea. So why is adding a navigation menu good? Explain why improving the layout and resolution, will help solve the problem. That's how you have to add the advantage. All right, for the next problem, we have poor color scheme. More information about that. It's difficult to see and read words on the website. How should we fix it? We've got two possible solutions. First one is change to black text and white background. Remember, you have to give the advantage and disadvantage of that. Alternatively, remember you want to use the word alternatively when you talk about solution two. You can say alternatively, the company could invite a web designer to give advice. And again, you must add the advantage and disadvantage of that solution. All right. Last problem, out-of-date content and broken links. What's more information about that? There's not enough manpower to maintain the website. Notice I said not enough, because there's an X there, so it means something negative. All right, so what should we do? This is where you are going to have to add your own solution and the advantage of that suggested solution, okay? All right, so here is one possible answer. So just remember, on this side of the page, I tell you the requirements. These are the things you need to add in your paragraph, in your answer. And then here I'm giving you examples, sentences, and ideas to help you understand better. All right. So remember, you will write 6 paragraphs, okay? You've got 4 problems, and then you've got the opening paragraph and the closing paragraph. So you've got 6 paragraphs you need to write. Okay, and remember that with the opening paragraph, there's 5 pieces of information you can see because there's 5 different colors, right? And there's 5 pieces of information in 4 sentences. So the sentence 1, you want to say thank you and the main problem. So you can say, thank you for your email concerning the problems with the company website. So remember, where did we get company website? From right here, okay? So you can just say problems with and then the words, okay? Then you want to say that you've looked into the situation. You want to tell your boss, okay, I've tried to find the problems. So you can say, I have looked into the matter. Then you want to summarize the problems, but you don't want to use any adjectives. So we can say, and found that the problems are related to focus and organization, compatibility in browsers, color scheme, and content and link. So notice I said don't use any adjectives, because if you go back up to the practice paper, we have poor color scheme. So poor is an adjective, so we didn't use the word poor. Out of date content, out of date is an adjective, so we didn't use it. So if you're like, what is she talking about? If you look down here, notice you don't see the words poor color scheme, it's just color scheme. You don't see out of date content, you just see the word content. Right, then after that, you want to tell your boss that you have some solutions. So you could say, I would also like to suggest some measures that could solve the problems identified. All right, now we need to talk about the different problems and how to fix them. So when you talk about the problems, you're basically going to repeat all of these steps. You want to start your paragraph off with the problem. So say the problem. Then you want to give more information about the problem. Then you want to say the solution. And then you need to give the advantage of the solution. Please remember, the advantage of the solution is not in the paper. And when I say paper, that means the assignment paper, the assessment paper, or the practice paper. Okay? So here we go. So first we want to say the problem. So we can say, to begin with, our customers complained that our website lacked focus and organization. What's more information about that? They said it was quite hard to locate what they want because there is too much content and links on a single web page. Let me make that a little bigger. All right, what's the solution? A simple, easy to understand navigation menu should be provided. 2, so they're introducing the advantage with the word to make our website more user-friendly. So that's the advantage, that's the added idea. Please notice when they introduced the problem, they said, to begin with, our customers complained that. So that's a nice way to start your paragraph if you want. All right, then we follow all 4 steps again for problem 2. All right, so first we say the problem. So in addition, we have also received negative feedback about, and here's the problem, the compatibility of the website. And then we need to give more information, so we introduce it with, it seems that it is not compatible with a number of browsers like Google Chrome, Firefox, and Opera. Then you want to give the solution. So you can say, I suggest that we ask an IT firm, which is another word for company, to find the best possible layout and resolution that suits all web browsers. And you want to give the advantage of the solution, so you can introduce it with the words this way. Customers can use the browser they prefer to get the information they need quickly and easily. And just remember that the advantage of the solution is not on the paper. So you have to add that idea. And one other thing to please remember is some students in the past, I've noticed this because I've taught this class a lot, this is what they do. For the advantage of the solution, this is what they write. They will write, let me start over, sorry. They will write, this will solve the problem. And they think, yeah, okay, that's the advantage of my solution. No, I mean, yes, it is, but the assessment and the school expect more from you. This is not good enough. So if you write this, don't expect points, don't expect a higher grade. Your grade will probably be lower if you write that. So be careful of that. All right, problem 3, you'll notice that this paragraph is longer, bigger. Why? Because if you go here, remember this is the one we're talking about. So now there's two possible solutions, and you must discuss the advantage and disadvantage of each solution. And remember, the advantage and disadvantage are not on the assessment paper or the practice paper. All right, so let's look at this one. Again, you still have the same steps though. Remember, you want to talk about the problem, give more information, the solution, and the advantage, which we do here. We have the problem, more information, the solution, and the advantage, but now you also have to add the disadvantage. All right, so you can start your paragraph off with negative comments were also received concerning, then say the problem, the poor color scheme. And when you want to give more information, you can say it was found that the words on the website are difficult to see and read because the color of the words are not dark enough. Okay. Then we need to talk about the solution. So one possible solution is to put black text on a white background. Okay. Then you want to give the advantage of that, which is more reader friendly. But then you need to give the disadvantage. But the presentation would be quite boring. All right, then remember now we want to introduce solution 2. So you can say alternatively, we could invite a web designer to give us advice on color scheme as well as layout. And then you want to give the advantage and disadvantage. Notice here in the pink is disadvantage. They give you the disadvantage first. So it says, although hiring a web designer would be expensive, the website would not only be easier to read, but it would also be more attractive. So here they're actually giving you two advantages. One, easier to read. And then the second one is it would be more attractive. Okay. Do you have to do this on the assessment? Do you have to give two advantages like this? No, you don't. One would be enough. So you could say the website would be easier to read, full stop. That's fine. But if you want to add two, if you think you can, go for it. That's great. All right, next. Now we go back to the regular way where you only have to give the one solution. So again, start your paragraph off with the problem, give more information about the problem, give the solution, and then add your own idea, which is the advantage of the solution. So let me copy that because I want to make sure that you add that because it is very important. Okay. All right. So let's look at this paragraph. Okay, so the problem. Finally, many customers reflected that, so that's a good way to start your sentence. The content was out of date and most of the links were broken. Then we want more information. So you can start the sentence with, the reason is that we do not have enough manpower to maintain the website. Then you want to give the solution. It would be a good idea to hire a few more people to do regular maintenance checks and update the website when necessary. And then how did they introduce the advantage? They use the word to make sure the website is functioning properly and current. Okay, so remember, for one of the problems, you will have to think of your own solution and you must add your own idea. So remember, you have to add your own solution. When do you do that? When you see this on the paper, when it says one suggestion required, okay? And you need to add the advantage. Then remember, for this one, you need to add the advantage and the disadvantage when you have the two solutions, okay? So it says the test does not give you the advantages and disadvantages. You must add your own ideas. So students, this is not optional. This is a requirement of the assessment or the take-home assignment. We're calling it a take-home assignment because you're going to be doing it online, right? So please, please, please make sure you add your advantages and disadvantages because if not, your grade will be affected in a very negative way. So please be careful. All right, so then we've got paragraph 6, super easy. It's the closing paragraph. It says these two sentences are enough and will work in any situation. So I'll just be honest with you. You can just copy and paste this onto your answer. I hope the above recommendations help to address the situation. Please let me know if you would like further information or action. Regards, Jackie. All right, so basically what you're saying, I hope the above recommendations help to address the situation. You're basically saying, I hope the solutions I have given you will, fix the problems. Please let me know if you would like further information or action. Now you're just telling your boss, if you need more help, please contact me. But you're not going to say it that way. You're going to say it like this in these two sentences. All right, so there's the sample answer. All right, now, possible useful phrases and vocabulary on the following pages. So I've tried to do this for all of the sample practice papers and answers I've given you. So, and I've broken it down into groups. So the first group is words you can use to introduce the problem and start your paragraph. Why did I do that? Because you'll notice that each paragraph you start by talking about the problem. So what words can you use to start the start the paragraph and talk about the problem. What are some sentence patterns you can copy? What can you use? So we saw in problem 1, this means P1 is problem 1 because P equals problem, P1 equals problem 1, P2 is problem 2, P3 problem 3, P4 problem 4. All right, so for problem 1, it said, to begin with, our customers complained that our website lacked focus and organization. So how could you write this sentence? You could say, to begin with, our customers complained that, and then you need to talk about the problem. So how do you talk about the problem? You need a subject, a verb, and then maybe more information. Because remember, when you have a that clause, it's a group of words that starts with that, and it requires its own subject and verb. So we've got our website lacked, there's our subject, there's our verb, and then more information. Okay, that's one way. Then in problem 2, they started the paragraph when talking about the problem. They said, in addition, we have also received negative feedback about the compatibility of the website. So what could you use? What could you copy in your sentence? You could say, in addition, we have also received negative feedback about, and then you want to say the problem. And for this problem, it needs to be a noun phrase. It needs to be a group of words, but a noun phrase means there's no verb, okay? And we talked about that in our last class, and I'll review it a little bit if we have time today. All right, so there's that one. Next one. For problem 3, they started the paragraph off with negative comments were also received concerning the poor color scheme. So what can you copy? What can you use? You can say negative comments were also received concerning. Again, you need to say the problem, which needs to be a noun phrase, so no verbs. Okay, so the poor color scheme, there are no verbs here. And same with this one, the compatibility of the website. This is also a noun phrase, and you will see there are no verbs here. Okay? All right, and for problem 4, it says, finally, many customers reflected that the content was out of date and most of the links were broken. Okay, this one's kind of special because you notice you've got subject, verb, more information 2 times. You've got content is our subject, was is our verb, out of date is more information. And then you do it all over again. You've got your subject, most of the links, then were is our verb, and then broken is more information. Okay? Now with these, out of date and broken are adjectives, but it doesn't always have to be adjectives. But if you can though. I would say for this test, it probably most of the time will be an adjective, because notice what we did here. Content was out of date, links were broken. So notice what they did. If you go back up to the practice paper, we have out of date content, right? Because they put the adjective out of date before the noun content. So in the sentence, we have, let me go all the way down here, content, verb, and then adjective, out of date. So basically what they do, and I'll show you on the other one as well, broken links, right? So we've got broken as our adjective, links as our noun, but when they put it in this sentence form down here, they make it noun or our subject, verb, so you have to add the verb, and then the adjective, broken, okay? All right, so how can you start your sentence? You can say, finally, many customers reflected that, and then you want to say the problem. And now here, like I said, this is special because you have 2 problems. And when you say the problem, you need subject, verb, and adjective, okay? Again, why do you need the subject and the verb? Because you have a that clause. So when you have a that clause, you've got a group of words that starts with the word that, and this group of words, because it starts with the word that, requires a subject and verb of its own. And then after the verb, you can either put more information or you can put an adjective. And for this assessment, it'll probably be an adjective. You'll notice up here, this is the same. Complained that our website lacked focus. So because you've got that, you need a subject, which is our website. Lacked is our verb. And now here, instead of an adjective, we have more information. Okay, so just remember, when you have a that clause, you're going to need a subject, a verb, and then probably more information after the verb. So it could just be more information, or the more information could be adjectives. I hope I have not confused you. All right, so these are different ways you can start your paragraph and talk about the problem, because that's usually how you will start your paragraph, is talking about the problem. Then you want to give more information about the problem. So remember, where do you find more information? That's the words in brackets. Okay, all this stuff right here. right, so how can you start that sentence? What can you do? What words can you use? All right, so now we're focusing on giving more information about the problem. So for problem 1, it said, they said it was quite hard to locate what they want because there is too much content and links on a single web page. So you can use the words they said. They is whoever complained. It could be customers, it could be employees, it could be students, it could be doctors, whoever. So they said, then you're going to need to say the problem. When you talk about the problem, you need the subject, verb, and more information. Okay? Then you can say because, and now you're going to give more information about the problem. And again, you're going to need subject, verb, and more information. So I know this might be a little bit long and colorful and maybe too much because you've got subject, verb, more information, and you've got subject, verb, more information. So the first piece is about the problem. And then now because you have the word because, you're going to need a subject and verb again. That's why you have another subject and verb here. So it is the subject, was is the verb, and we have more information, which is quite hard to locate what they want. Because, and now you're giving a reason. All right, and that is, the reason is there is our subject, is our verb, and then more information is content and links on a single web page, or too much content and links on a single web page. All right, so that's one way. All right, for problem 2, it seems that it is not compatible with a number of browsers like Google Chrome, Firefox, and Opera. So you can say it seems that, and then you need to, this is not really the problem, this is more information about the problem. Let me put more information about the problem here. Okay. So you're going to need to follow with more information about the problem. Okay, which means you're going to need a subject, verb, and more information. Again, why? Because you have the word that. So it seems that, and then you would just need subject, verb, and more information, which is what they did here. All right, for problem 3, when we give more information, it was, the sentence pattern was, it was found that. It was found that words on the website are difficult to see and read because the color of words are not dark enough. Okay, so you will notice that this sentence pattern is kind of similar to this one here because they use the word because. So you're going to need subject, verb, more information 2 times. You have subject, verb, more information. Then after the word because, you have subject, verb, more information. So we're doing this again here. So we have subject, verb, more information. Then you use the word because, and then you've got subject, verb, and more information. All right, so it was found that the words of the website are difficult to see and read because the color of the words are not dark enough. So it was found that. Then you can say subject, verb, more information because, and then again, subject, verb, and more information. This one might be a little too much for some students when you use the word because. Some students might be able to do this, and that's great if you can. If you can't, if this is too much, doing something like this, it seems that, and then, giving more information this way, that's fine. Or something like maybe the next one on this one, the reason is that, that's fine too. So if using because is a little too much for you, don't use it. You don't have to. You've got many options and different ways to give your information in a sentence. So that brings us to problem 4. How did we give more information about problem 4? They use the sentence pattern. The reason is that we do not have enough manpower to maintain the website. Again, you can say the reason is that, and then say more information about the problem, which is subject, verb, and more information. So we, as our subject, do not have, as a verb, enough manpower to maintain the website. And this really isn't the problem. This is more information about the problem. I'm just going to call it more info. Okay. All right, because otherwise we're going to run out of room on this line here. All right, so that was different sentence patterns you can use to give more information about the problem. And we talked about words and sentences you can use to introduce the problem. because remember, we're going to talk about the problem first in the paragraph, then you're going to give more information about the problem. Now that you've presented the problem and more information about it, now you need to give the solution, like how we're going to fix it. So now if on the practice paper, we're focusing on this side of the information. All right, so how can we introduce the solution? Or the suggestion? When I say solutions, suggestions, same thing. This test, they flip-flop back and forth. Sometimes they call it solution, sometimes they call it suggestion. So let me add that really quick. Okay. Suggestion, solution. For this assessment, we consider it the same. Okay, so one way, a simple, easy to understand navigation should be provided. Okay, so you would basically, you've put the solution into one sentence. Subject should be this verb past participle. Why? Because this is passive voice. This might be a little too much for some students, and if it is, that's fine. There are other ways, like here you have a real sentence pattern, like I suggest that we. This really isn't, I mean, it is a sentence pattern, but it's not anything you can really memorize, like with this one here. So what you would need, though, because English is an SVO language, you need your subject, you need your verb, and then maybe more information. Here they don't give you more information, though. It's basically subject and verb. I've split the verb into two colors, though, should be and then verb. Because the way the sentence is written, it's best to have should be, because you're making a suggestion. You're telling the company this is what we should do. So it's should be, and it's you need the word be because you've got a past participle, because this is passive voice, which we talked about when preparing for the assignment. So you could say, again, all of this, notice your subject is not just one word. It's many words, and all of that equals your subject. All right, so then should be, and then past participle. Again, this is passive voice. If this is easy for you, great, go ahead and do it. If you don't like that, if you want something with more sentence patterns, then you've got here, this one, I suggest that we, or you've got this one possible solution is to, blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about those next. So for problem 2, what is the suggestion or the solution? It says, I suggest that we ask an IT firm to find the best possible layout and resolution that suits all web browsers. So basically, you just say, I suggest that we, verb, and then the solution. So our verb here is ask. So notice no ing, no ed, and no s. Okay. And then say the rest of whatever is given on the test paper or practice paper. You'll put there as the solution. The verb is actually part of the solution, but I'm putting it separate in a different color so that you know that you're going to have to add a verb. I don't think they give you a verb. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Let's check really quick. Yeah, here they give you a verb, change, which is nice. And here, invite, they give you a verb. Improve, they give you one. Oh, they gave you a lot of verbs here. Notice here, they don't give you a verb. You're going to have to add one. And here, they don't give you anything. So you have to think of everything. But be careful. Sometimes they don't always give you verbs. So you might have to add one. Okay. Now, he said improve layout and resolution. What did we put in the sentence, though? Let's see. Here they said, I suggest that we ask an IT firm to find the best possible solution and resolution that suits all web browsers. So they didn't even use the word improve, which was given to you on the paper. So you can do something like this, like they use the word improve, but on the practice paper, but they didn't use the word improve down here in the actual answer in the way they wrote the sentence, which is fine because they have a similar meaning. But I have a feeling most students will use whatever is on the test paper given to them, which is okay. If you want to change some of the words, as long as they have a similar meaning and you don't change the message, then you're all right. All right, remember for problem 3, it's special because there's 2 solutions. So I'm going to go back up here because it's been a while since you've had English class. So just remember, when you see the / and the question mark, you've got 2 solutions, okay? So solution 1, give the advantage and disadvantage of it, and then solution 2, give the advantage and disadvantage of it. So that's the one we're talking about now. All right, so how did we introduce these solutions? Okay, For solution 1, it says, oops, here we go. For solution 1, one possible solution is 2, put black text on a white background. So you can say one possible solution is 2, verb plus the solution, whatever they give you on the paper. Notice again, you might need to add your own verb. So here in this sentence, it's put, but you might have to add some other verb that's appropriate for the situation, and then continue your sentence with the solution, which is the idea provided on the paper. All right. For solution 2, remember when you give solution 2, you want to start off with alternatively, because your company has 2 choices. Your company can do this or it can do this. Remember, the company will only do one of these. They will not do both. If they were going to do both, we would say and or also, but we're not. We're only doing one. So that's why we use the word alternatively. Alternatively, comma, we could invite a web designer to give us advice on color scheme as well as layout. So here, the sentence pattern that you could copy is alternatively, we could, plus verb, no ing, no ed, no s, because you've got could in front of it. And then finish the sentence with the solution and idea provided on the paper. You might have to add your own verb. You may not. The assessment paper might give you the verb. It might not. So just remember, though, you will need a verb here. All right, then for problem 4, the solution is it would be a good idea to hire a few more people to do regular maintenance checks and update the website when necessary. So what can you copy? You could say it would be a good idea to, verb plus solution. Again, the verb, notice, no ing, no ed, no s, because you have to in front of the verb, so you've got infinitive, and then you finish and complete the sentence with the solution, which is the idea provided on the paper. All right, so that's different ways that you can use to introduce the suggestion or the solution. All right, so we have talked about, going too far, sorry students. So we've talked about which words you can use to introduce the problem, which words you can use to introduce more information about the problem and the solution. Now we're going to talk about the idea that you need to add that's not on the paper, the advantage of the solution. So what can you use to introduce the advantage? All right, you can notice this is getting quite colorful, sorry. So to introduce the advantage, which is your added idea, for problem 1, it said to make our website more user-friendly. So it would be to plus verb and then a noun or noun phrase, more, and then adjective. Okay, so we've got make as our verb. Again, notice there's no ing, no ed, or s on the verb because you've got to in front of it because it's infinitive. Our website is a noun phrase. Remember, a noun phrase is a group of words with no verbs. And then we've got more and then adjective. Now, this is a little bit special here because I have a note here for you. Depending on the adjective, you might not use more in front of the adjective. Instead, you might use the adjective with er ending. Okay, so for example, take the word happy. Happy is an adjective. We wouldn't say more happy. We would say happier. Happy with IER ending, happier. So it really depends on the adjective you use. You might put more in front of it, or you might put ER at the end. Okay. Next, again, we're talking about giving the advantage of the solution. For problem 2, the advantage of the solution was this way customers can use the browser they prefer to get the information they need quickly and easily. So you can say this way and then give the advantage, which includes subject, verb, more information. Then if you want to go and give more information, you can give the reason and then more of an advantage. Now, let me talk about this one because you'll notice there's a lot of colors, so there's a lot of information here. You could say this way, customers can use the browser they prefer, full stop. You could finish your sentence right here and you'd be fine. If you want to give more information, you can, and you can give it this way following this pattern. So you would use the reason, which is to plus verb. The reason is to plus verb because it's like infinitive. Notice no ing, ed, or s on the verb because to is in front of it. And then more advantage, more idea of the advantage. Okay, but you would say this way and then start off with subject and verb because all English sentences need a subject and verb. More information. Now, like I said, you could put a full stop here. If not, you want to give more. This is one way to do it if you want to give more information. Again, you don't have to do this, students. You could do something like this if you want to, okay? Or something like this. So don't feel you have to get really crazy and write these long sentences. All right. For problem 3, remember there's 2 solutions, so you're going to have 2 advantages, one for solution 1 and one for solution 2. So for this one, they said, which is more reader friendly? So what you can do is which is more and then adjective. And again, just remember, depending on the adjective, you might not use more with your adjective. Instead, you might use adjective with ER ending. Because, for example, remember the word happy. We don't say more happy, we say happier. So again, it just depends on the adjective you use. Okay, so how did you introduce this advantage? You use the word which. All right, now for solution 2. For solution 2, they started the sentence off with the disadvantage, then a comma, and then gave the advantage. So the advantage is the website might not only be easier to read, but it would also be more attractive. So again, although, then you give the disadvantage. After the comma, then you give the advantage. So subject, the website, would not only be, and then more information, or a verb and then more information, comma, but it would also, and then verb and more information. Okay, again, just like I said earlier in the class, you do not have to do this because you're basically giving 2 advantages. You're saying it's easier to read, that's advantage 1, and it's more attractive, that's advantage 2. You don't have to do that. You could just say the website would be easier to read, full stop. Okay, if you want to use would not only, but it would also, you can do that. But now you're creating more work for yourself. And if you can do it, great, go ahead and do it. But if not, you don't have to. All right, for problem 4, the advantage was to make sure the website is functioning properly and current. So what can you use? To make sure, and then noun or noun phrase, plus verb, and then more information. Okay, so those are the advantages. And now remember, for this one, where you have the 2 solutions, where is it? Let me go to the paper here, sorry. Remember when you have the / and the question mark, you've got 2 solutions. So for this one, you have to give the disadvantage too. You don't have to give the disadvantage here. You don't have to give the disadvantage here, and you do not have to give the disadvantage here. You must give the disadvantage here. So this one is advantage and disadvantage, and only this one is advantage, advantage, and advantage. All right, so again, advantage and disadvantage for this one. So let's go over and see how to give the disadvantage. What did they use? All right, so this is when you have to add your idea and only when you see the / and question mark. So for problem 3, solution 1, they gave the advantage and then they put a comma, and now here comes the disadvantage. But the presentation would be quite boring. So it would be but, subject, and then verb, and then more information. Now here they used an adjective. So you could use an adjective, or maybe you might not use an adjective. You could say, but the presentation, I don't know, might not help very many people or something like that. So it doesn't always have to be an adjective at the end here. But you can use but, subject, verb, and then more information, which is basically like an English sentence, right? SVO. So SV, and this would be the O part. For solution 2, they used the word although and then gave the disadvantage first. So although hiring a web designer would be expensive, comma, and then they gave the advantage. So he said although, subject, verb, more information. So we've got the word hiring here, and you might be like, well, that looks like a verb. And it kind of does because it's got ing. But remember, this is a gerund. It's a verb with ing ending, and it's acting like a noun. So all of this is your subject here. So just be careful of that. Then we've got our verb and then more information. Okay, so I was trying to do 2 things with this paper. I was wanting to review with you. Remember what the assessment paper is going to look like with the 3 different parts. And this, of course, is the main part here. Then I wanted to go over the sample answer with you so you know, remember the different parts that you need to write about, and you see some samples, how the practice paper would look in a paragraph. And then we went over the different phrases or words you can use to introduce the problem, words you can use to introduce more details about the problem, words you can use to introduce the suggestion or solution, words you can use to introduce the advantage, which is, remember, your added idea. And then also words you can use to introduce the disadvantage, also your added idea. And there's vocabulary. All right, I know that was long. But I hope that really helps you. And again, I will send this to you by tomorrow sometime. All right, next. The next thing we should talk about. I'm just going to go over this really quickly last week. I'll do that. Let's go over Unit 7 really quick, just to remind you what we talked about in class last week, which was we focused a lot on cause and effect words. So I'm going to try to review this quickly. This is Unit 7. You do have this. I sent it to you. I sent it to you twice. First time, there was no page numbers because when they sent it to the teachers, the school didn't give us any page numbers. So I sent it to you again with page numbers. So we focused a lot in class talking about cause and effect, okay? And I wrote on here, because of the typhoon, there was no school. So cause is event number 1. It's the thing that has to happen first. And then the effect is the result. It's event number 2. So if there was a typhoon, that's the cause, event number 1. What happens? Well, there might be no school, which would be the result of the typhoon. So no school would be event number 2, the effect. So we did some matching. We did some practice on page 4. And then on page 5, 6, we spent a lot of time here on page 5 and page 6. And this is where you were given a list of words you can use to introduce the cause, or words that are introduced you can use to introduce the effect. So I put that if they introduce the cause or effect for you. All right, so, oh no, part of this got canceled. Let me add something here that I want to say. For when you talk about the problem, and when you talk about more information about the problem, you can use cause words, or you might use effect words. Okay, so I'm right here. This is not on the paper. So I'm going to highlight this. And give me just a second. All right, let me go back. Okay. This is the tricky part about using cause and effect words, because sometimes the problem is the cause, but sometimes the problem is the effect. With more information about the problem, sometimes more information about the problem is the cause, but sometimes more information about the problem is the effect. You really have to be careful and understand the paper to know which one is the cause and which one is the effect, because this will influence, which of these words that you use. So if you use them incorrectly, if you don't use them the right way, this can really mess up your sentence and change what you're saying. And then that will be points off. That will, your mark will go down. So you don't want that. So again, if you're like, I'm not comfortable using these, you're like, I don't want to use them, then that's okay, because you'll remember that I've given you practice papers, and I've given you a list of words you can use. You can use these phrases to introduce the problems, like to begin with, our customers complain that. In addition, we've also received. And you can use these other phrases, to give more information about the problem, such as it seems that, it was found that. So you can use those phrases if you're not comfortable using cause and effect words. The other thing, though, which is nice, is when you remember, you have to give the advantage of the solution. So you have to add your own idea. You can use effect words. So this is like 99% of the time. So even though for the problem and more information about the problem, you're like, I don't know, do I use cause or effect? It's iffy, you're not sure. But when you talk about the advantage of the solution, for sure, you can use effect words, such as consequently, as a result, for this reason, therefore, so, thus, or something like could, like can improve, will, something other. So definitely for the advantage of the solution, you can use effect words. All right, so we talked about that in our last class, and that was the major thing about Unit 7. Then I also introduced this other paper to you that I sent to you in an email, and these are expressions you can use. Okay, so again, when you start talking about the problem and giving more information about the problem, You can use these words, these phrases here, okay, that we talked about in class. So I sent this to you, and again, we did talk about a noun phrase, okay? And then over here, I gave you a few more sentence patterns to talk about the problem and more information about the problem. All right, and then we talked about adding more ideas to the problem. So let me just say something about this quickly. When you add more ideas to the problem, that's optional. You don't have to add more ideas about the problem, but if you want to, you can. But when you talk about the solution, you must add the advantage. The advantage is an added idea, and you must add that idea. You must add the advantage to the solution. If you add more information to the problem, that is optional. You do not have to. But when you must add the advantage and add your own idea of the advantage to the solution. So be careful. All right, then we talked about the opening paragraph. This is one way where you have 4 sentences and you include this information, or you can write the shorter way for the opening paragraph. Honestly, since you're at home and you can look at your notes when you write the assignment, the assessment that's 60% of your grade, I would just do this because, you have all your notes in front of you. If this really is too much, you could do this, but I do think that this is better, writing it this way. Okay, and that's for the opening paragraph. And then we talked briefly about the closing paragraph, which is pretty easy. You've got the sentences, and then you just write regards and the person's name, which is supposed to be your name. So the reason why I'm going over this is, one is a review, and then also we've got this information about how to write the opening paragraph. Now, in Unit 8, which I've sent to you and we've talked a bit about, let me put that up here. We've got this. So this is Unit 8, and this is page 4. If you look at the top of my screen here, it says EGWC Unit 8 SS. SS means students. So if you go to this one and it's page 4, they kind of show you what opening paragraph should include, but you notice there's only 3 things, 1, 2, 3. And then 1, they said step 1 is acknowledge the receipt, which is basically you're saying, I received your email. 2, state the action taken. 3, state the purpose of the email. But that's really not right. If you remember, there's actually 4 things you need to include in the opening paragraph. So I think this is a little bit helpful, but I think it's better to look at the other notes I've sent to you to help you with the opening paragraph. And then for this box here, acknowledging the receipt, they said that you can write in response to your email regarding as requested concerning your request. No, none of these. You would not use any of these in the assessment. You would not use these, so don't. Also, then it says for step 2, state the action. You can say, I have looked into the matter. I have investigated the problem. Yes, these 2 are good. You can use this. The next one is, I have met with somebody, and no, I would not use this one. Stop. This is odd. This will probably not work in the assessment or the assignment. So take home assignment. So don't use it. So you can use these. And then we have for step 3, state the purpose. I would like to provide you with details. I would like to suggest that I have come up with some measures. Now, I would like to provide some details. That's when you're actually summarizing the problems. And then these last 2 is when you want to say that you suggested a solution. So these are okay, excuse me, but they're actually, this one is like step 3, and this one is step 4. So again, this page 4 in Unit 8, it's okay. But honestly, if you want to know about how to write the opening paragraph, there's 2 things you can do. Either look at this paper that I've sent you and follow this, or the other thing is just look at all the sample answers I've given you. No, not this one. Sorry, students, give me just a second. Here we go. You can look at this one here and just look at all the different sample answers I've given you and look at the opening paragraph, and that should give you enough information to help you, because I tell you right here all the things you can use. You'll just have to change some words, to fit the paper, the situation, but you should be fine. All right, so next, we're still going to stick with Unit 8. let me go back to Unit 8. Okay, now what we're going to do with Unit 8 is we need to talk about the page 5. Yes, page 5. So we're on page 5, and what we're going to talk about now is suggesting solutions, because remember, you need to suggest solutions to the problems. So I'm going to talk about this because this is in Unit 8, but it's not super something you have to do. So it says, when you make a suggestion, or when you're suggesting a solution, if you really feel strongly about the suggestion, you're like, yeah, this is really right, this is the thing we should be doing, then you can use, and there's only one possible solution, then that means you can use a strong tone to make that suggestion or that solution, because you really think like, yeah, this is the only solution, it's the best one. If you're not so sure, if you're more tentative, that's what tentative means. You're like, oh, it'll work, it's good, but you're not 100% for sure. Then you can make a suggestion with a milder tone. So when you're really sure, you can use a strong tone. If you're not 100% sure, it's more of a milder tone. So how do you do this? What's the difference when you write a strong tone or something with a milder tone? You use words like must or have to, that's for quite a strong tone, or should or ought to. Then when you want to use can, may, could, might, or would, these are more for milder ones when you're maybe not so sure. So this would be the strongest, and this would be the mildest, and then these are just kind of in between, okay? So again, when you are writing your answer and you're writing your solution, do you like, oh, I have to have a strong tone, or I need to have a mild tone? No, you don't need to. You don't need to worry about that. I'm just really talking about this because it is on the in the unit document that they've sent us. It's on page 5. Really, if you look at a lot of the sample answers I've given you, they sometimes use should, they use can a lot, they use could a lot, and will, W-I-L-L, and sometimes would, sometimes may. But I would say can, could, will, and would are most often used, and should and might and may are sometimes used. Okay, so don't worry too much if you're like, oh, I should make a strong suggestion, or oh, I should make a mild suggestion. Don't worry about that. I'm just kind of going over this because it's on page 5, make you aware of it. All right, so let's talk about ones that are a strong suggestion. So to minimize risk, electrical technicians must wear protective clothing or have to wear protective clothing while working on energized circuits. Then we have something still strong, but not super strong. The company should apply warning labels. The company ought to apply warning labels to all electrical equipment. Right now we've got something a little bit milder, can and may. It may be a good idea for the company to upgrade the technician's emergency communication devices. Or something mildest, using could, might, or would. One solution would be to offer on-the-job training for technicians. All right, that's a little bit about suggesting solutions. Okay. Now, the big thing about suggesting solutions is on the next page. So on page 6 here of this Unit 8 document that has been sent to you, you've got this list here, this box, okay? This is a box of words you can use to suggest solutions. All right, so give me just a second. All right, sorry. So we can use these phrases to suggest solutions. So the first thing I want to tell you right now, and I'm going to repeat myself. This is on page 6 of Unit 8 if you want to go back and look at it. Unit 8 is sitting in your inbox waiting for you. These here, from the blue to the pink, the solution or suggestion is at the end of the sentence. So English is an SVO language, so the solution is in the object or clause position at the end. The purple one down here is different because the solution, the suggestion, is actually the subject. It's at the beginning of the sentence. So that's one thing. Now let's talk about them. All right, the first one, notice, like again, because English is an SVO language, we start off with our subject, then we have our verb, and then we have an object or a clause. So this one is, there could be advantages in installing a 3D bioprinter in the laboratory. So install a 3D bioprinter is the solution or the suggestion. You could write, there could be advantages in verb, ing, and then say the solution. I really do not see this. If you look at all the practice papers and the answers I've given you, you do not see this very often. There could be advantages. And really, you're not giving enough information here. I would suggest not using this sentence pattern. I think these are better. All right, the next one, all of these in the green box. Why are they all together in green? Because you will notice that the object or the clause, install a 3D bioprinter, which is the solution, you've got the verb, install, and there is no ing, no ed, or s on the verb. Why is that? Why is it not installing, installs, or installed? Because if you use this sentence pattern, you've got the word to in front of install. So the verb cannot have ing, ed, or s because you've got to in front of it, which is because it's infinitive. For this one, you've got could, can, should, must, have, ought to. All these, if you're going to put these before your verb cannot have ing, ed, or s. So that's why. Here again, we've got may be necessary to, is necessary to, or we've got is to or would be to. So again, because you have the words to here, your verb cannot have ing, ed, or s. Okay, that's why they're all together in this green box, because at the end of your sentence, when you provide the solution, you're going to need to give a verb, and the verb cannot have ing, ed, or s. All right, so let's talk about these. So for this one, if you wanted to use this one, you can say the best solution is to install a 3D bioprinter, or the best solution would be to install a 3D bioprinter. Okay. If you want to use this sentence pattern, the best solution is to or would be to, it's fine, but I would be careful where you use it, because if you remember, if we go back to the assessment paper or the practice paper, you will see that, so let's see right here. For this one, remember, you've got two solutions. You've got solution 1 and you've got solution 2. So if you say the best solution is to change to black text and white background, if this is the best one, then why are you suggesting this solution, inviting a web designer? That doesn't make sense because you just said this is the best one. So if you're going to use that phrase, if you're going to use that phrase, is the best solution is to, that's fine, but I would only use it when there is only one solution given. I would not use it when there are two solutions. Okay, so be careful of that one. All right. Back to the Unit 8 document. I don't like using the phrase obvious solution. The obvious solution is to. Number one, it's a bit rude. It sounds like, remember that you're writing a report for your boss. So you're kind of talking to your boss like, this is so easy to see, you should know this. So you're kind of talking down to your boss, which I don't think is a good idea. I mean, unless you don't value your job, and then, do whatever. But for the assessment, I would not write this. So I just wouldn't use this phrase. I would just use the best solution is to, and I would only use the best solution is to when you talk about one solution, not when you're presenting two solutions. That brings us to the next one. The next one is we could, we can, we should, we must, we have to, ought to install a 3D bioprinter. All right, so we is your subject. Your verb is not just could or can. These are not strong enough to be verbs by themselves. You'll notice that install is a verb. So in a way, install really should be over here in the verb part. But I think they put it over here because you're going to have to add a verb to the sentence that is appropriate for the situation. And remember, sometimes the paper will give you the verb and sometimes it will not. All right, so you can use any one of these and then followed by the verb and the rest of the solution. And remember, the verb has no ing, ed, or s because you've got these words in front of it. All right, it is your subject, is necessary to install. It may be necessary to install. Both of those are good. You can use them. And then, you follow with the solution. And remember, you're going to need a verb here that fits the situation. Again, like I keep saying, the assessment paper might give you the verb. It might not. So you'll just have to be careful. If they don't give you one, you have to add one. A possible solution is to install, or a possible solution is the subject would be to install. So this is another one. And again, the verb install has no ing, ed, or s because you have to in front of the verb. And I keep repeating, you may have to add a verb. The test might give it to you. If the test gives you the verb, you don't have to add it. If the test does not give you the verb, you will have to add it. All right, then we have this one. I as your subject would like to suggest is the verb. So I would like to suggest, and now you have two options. You can say I would like to suggest installing a 3D bioprinter, or I would like to suggest that we install a 3D bioprinter. Right. So you can either start off with the verb with ing and then continue with the solution, or you can say that we plus verb and then continue with the solution. If you use that, the subject is going to be we. You're going to need we. And then you're going to need a verb. So it'll be that we plus verb. And the verb, notice here, no ing, no ed, or s. Okay? So you've got two choices. Either verb with ing and then go to the solution, or that we verb and then go to the solution. All right, then the next one is we have the subject, it seems that we should, or it is clear that we should. I don't like using it is clear because, again, it is similar to obvious. It's kind of like you're saying, it's easy to see that this is what we should do, and you should know this already. You're you're talking down a little bit to your boss. You're kind of talking to your boss like they're stupid. So it's subtle. It's not really easy to see, but it is kind of there. So I wouldn't use this one. I would say it seems that we should. All right, so what you would copy is it seems that we should, and then again, you need a verb, no ing, no ed, or s, because you have should in front of it, and then a 3D bioprinter in the laboratory. So you would say, it seems that we should, verb, and then the solution. Okay, again, no ing, no ed, or s on the verb. So there's that one. So just remember all of these, from blue to pink, the solution is at the end of the sentence. The solution is in the object or clause position of the sentence. For the purple one here, this one's different because the solution is your subject, okay? So you'll notice installing a 3D bioprinter in the laboratory. So if you're going to use it this way, you're going to need a verb to start your sentence with ing, and it's a gerund. When you have verb ing acting as your subject, that's a gerund. It's acting like a noun. But in this sentence, it's also acting as your subject. Installing a 3D bioprinter in the laboratory, then you can say may, might, could be an effective solution, okay? Or you could say is the most effective solution. If you're going to use this one, is the most effective solution, that's fine if you say it's the most it's the most effective solution. However, again, on the paper, assessment paper, I would not use it on this one because you're talking about two solutions. So if you just said that inviting a web designer is the most effective solution, if that's the best one, if that's the most effective, then why are you suggesting this solution? So if you're going to use the phrase the best solution is to, or blah, blah, blah is the most effective solution, I would use it here, here, or here when they only give you one solution. I would not use it when they give you two solutions. All right. That's that. So those are the different ways you can give solutions, suggested solutions, all right, because you are going to have to give the solution on the assessment. Now, as I've said, in all of my practice papers that I've sent to you so far, you also have this. Those aren't the only ways you can give solutions. There are a few more ways. Remember, if you go down to, after the practice answer, I give you different phrases you can use to introduce the different parts of the answer. So remember, another way to, introduce the solution is something like this, something like this. Here, that's one you've seen on Unit 8 that we just talked about, or something like this. So the ones in Unit 8 that we just talked about are not the only ones. You can look at all the practice papers and looked at the words they used too. Okay, so now we should use. Okay, so we are now on page 7 of document Unit 8. Okay, and what they want you to do, in order for you to see the whole page, I'm going to have to make this smaller. So, too small though. Let's look at these. So what they want is, on this side is the problem, and then they want you to find the solution. These are the solutions up here. So the first one's been done for you. There have been complaints that we do not provide customers with enough technical support. So what is a possible solution? A is the answer. Set up an online forum to collect customers' inquiries and offer quick solutions. All right, so let's do these. All right. Let's try to find the answers to these. Okay, so some customers have reported receiving error message H07 when installing our microcontroller software. Which would be the solution, B, C, D, E, or F? Right. If you said D, conduct more comprehensive software platform testing, you are correct. Good. All right, number 3, there's an increased demand for our software to offer more language options. What would be the possible answer for number 3? All right, if you said F, investigate whether providing more language options is feasible, you are correct. Okay, next, number 4. Many customers have run into problems programming their microcontrollers after installing the latest drivers on their PC. All right, so what could be the possible solution for that? All right, if you put B, provide clear information about system compatibility when releasing driver updates, you are correct. All right, number 5. Let's see. Let me see if I can move this. Okay. Some customers are unable to upload their programs to their microcontrollers. What do you think? If you said E, provide a more detailed microcontroller programming tutorial, you are correct. Very good. Okay. And so then that means the last one, a few customers commented on our website that their microcontrollers were not responding. The last one then must be C, ask customers to bring their microcontrollers to our service center, because that's the only one that has not been used. Don't worry about 7, they want you to think of your own solution, so we'll do that in a minute. All right, now this is what they want us to do. They want you to, here's D, the solution, conduct more comprehensive software platform testing. They want you to put this into a sentence, but they want you to put this into a sentence using these phrases here, okay? That's what they'd like you to do. So you can see that done for you right here for the first one. So A, I'm looking at this one here. A is the solution. Set up an online forum to collect customers' inquiries. What phrase did they use? They used, I would like to suggest that we. Okay, and then they used the verb set up. Okay, all right, so for this one, for D, they wrote, it may be necessary to, okay, and then it may be necessary to conduct more comprehensive software testing. Now, students, I hope this exercise does not make you think that writing the solution is always going to be this easy for the assessment. It may or may not. The reason why this one is so easy, where you can just copy and paste, is because you will notice they gave you the verb here. They gave you the verb here, provide is our verb, investigate, they gave you the verb, ask is the verb. So they made it very easy for you because they just gave you the verb first. And like I said, the assessment paper does not always give you the verb, so you have to be careful. That's why I'm highlighting the verb in blue, so that you know that you may have to add the verb. If you do have to add the verb, you're going to have to think of a verb that fits the situation. All right, now for number 3, they want us to use, it seems, Oh, wait a minute. Did I do D? Yeah, that's right. This one they used we could for F, for 3. Okay, and then F is the answer, so we can just copy and paste. Again, students, it's not always going to be this easy on the assessment, so please don't think it always will be. Okay, so we used we could, and then investigate is our verb. Okay, and then we just need to add a full stop here. Now, the one thing, let me talk about this. I would like to suggest that we plus verb. So they use this one up here. I would like to suggest that we and then verb. That's the one they use, the first one. Then for number 2, it may be necessary to plus verb. So they use this one. It may be necessary to plus verb in the solution. For number 3, they used we could investigate whether. So for we could, they used, I believe, this middle one here. We could is right here, and then verb and solution. Okay, so for number 4, we've got many customers have run into problems, so the solution is B, provide clear information. So, let's see. I'm going to say, what could we use? The best solution would be to, let's use this one. The best solution would be to. All right. All right, would be to. Now, because we've got to, we need a verb after with no ing. So we've got the verb provide is given to us. Copy, put it down here. Remember, no caps right here. And we need a full stop. Okay, the best solution would be to is the phrase we used. And then you're going to need a verb. Okay. All right, the next one, let's see, is E, provide a more detailed solution. So we can use, let's use this one. It seems that we should. It seems that we should, and then we can use E, so provide a more detailed microcontroller tutorial. Okay, again, we need to make that little p and add a full stop. The phrase we used is, it seems that we should, and then you follow it with a verb here. Okay. All right, next one. A few customers commented at our website that their microcontrollers were not responding, so the solution is C. Ask customers to bring their own microcontrollers to our service center. Okay, so we can use a possible solution would be to. So I'm going to use this one. A possible solution would be to, and then we need our verb and solution. All right, so C. All right, so a possible solution would be to is the phrase, oops, with to. And then our verb that we need is ask. So again, is the assessment going to be this easy where you can just, use one of these phrases and you just copy and paste? I don't know. Are they going to give you the verb or not? I don't know. Sometimes you will have to move the other words around too. They've made this one quite easy for you. Now for this one, they have not provided a solution. They want you to kind of think of your own solution. So our software user interface is more difficult to use than our competitors. So what could be a possible solution? This one that says update the software interface to make it more user-friendly. So why don't we haven't used this one yet. Let's use this sentence pattern where you put the solution first in the sentence and you start with verb ing. So let's see. We can use this. Updating our software interface to make it more user-friendly could be an effective solution. Alrighty. So what we did was, this is kind of our phrase here that you can copy, but we're going to need a verb with ing. So just be careful of that. Right? Okay. All right. So that's a little bit of practice giving solutions. So we're going to do a little bit more with solutions. So I'm going to leave that up for you to look at, and then I'm going to have to open up a document that I forgot that I needed to open up for you guys. So let me open that up for you. Let's see, where is it? Okay, this is, let me put this up on the screen because I don't think you can see it. Now I haven't sent this document to you, so because I wanted to save it for us to work on today together. So this is, again, making suggestions. So we're just going to do two together. So again, just to give you a little more practice with making suggestions. So notice for the first one is done for you. So market research, find out customers' preferences. So this was the sentence they wrote. We should conduct a market research. We should carry out a market research to find out the preferences of our customers. All right, so we have human resources department briefing sessions for new staff members. All right, so we want to use one of these phrases here. Oh, you know what, students? I think I made a change to this document. And I think it's still here. Let me see. No, it's not. All right, let me go to another document really quick. Sorry, guys. I'm going to, just so I don't have to keep going back and forth for the information, I'm just going to copy this and put it on the other document. Because for some reason, Microsoft Teams won't let me just go from one document to the next. I have to like click on share and then not share. It's just a bit of extra work. All right, so let's do this. It's not going to let me. Let's see if I can move this. No, it won't let me. Oh, wait a minute. What is... It's not letting me make any changes for some reason. All right, we're going to close this. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see if I can open it again. Students, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I don't really understand why this is so difficult. All right. Let's see if I can do this. All right, let's see if that worked. We're gonna do this again. All right, okay, yay, it worked. Oh my God. Students, sometimes computers are not that great. This is one of those times. We're gonna do this one more time and see if we can finally do this. I apologize for wasting your time. Okay, finally, thank you. Okay, so what we were doing was practicing making suggestions, because that's what you're gonna have to do on the assessment or the take-home assignment. That's 60% of your grade. So here's part of it: Human Resources Department briefing session for new staff members. And here is some possible ways we can use to make the suggestion. So how could we write this in a sentence? Have a think. How would you write this in a sentence? For this one, they started off with, I'm just going to get rid of this. They started off with, it is suggested that. So how would you finish this if you were going to do this? What they said is, now we're going to have to change things. You can't just copy and paste. We're going to have to do things. It is suggested that Human Resources Department, we have to add a verb, so we can use hold or organize briefing sessions for new staff members. Okay, so we use the phrase, it is suggested that. Okay, and we had to add this verb here because you'll notice hold or organize are not given. Okay, let's try another one. Let's do this one. Now, they used, it is suggested that. That was the answer provided to me. And however, it is suggested that is not really down here. Okay. So for this one, for this one, what they did, instead of using one of these down here, they said, training to frontline staff. Now, what should we say? Because remember, we're going to have a verb here. So we can say training should be provided to frontline staff to, and then we can say enhance or improve their communication skills. So I guess the purpose of this exercise really is to show you that there are different ways to give suggestions. You don't just have to use the way that they gave you in Unit 8 on page, I want to say 5 or 6 that we were talking about, or 4, but you can also use something like this. So it is suggested that, or blah, 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 should be, and then you're going to need a verb here. So that's what you would have to add, okay? And then you had to add the word to as well, because now you're giving the reason. Here, they don't give you a reason. It suggests that Human Resources Department hold briefing sessions for new staff members. That's just the suggestion. Here, you've got the suggestion and the advantage. Training should be provided to frontline staff. That's the suggestion or the solution. To enhance, improve their communication skills. That is the advantage or the solution of that. Excuse me. All right, so those are a few different ways you can add your solutions or your suggestions, different ways you can write the sentence or put the solution or suggestion into a sentence, okay? So we used it is suggested that, or this one is should be plus a verb, all right? And then we've also used Unit 8 as well. That was Unit 8, page 6. All right, now, the other things that we're going to need to work on are the advantages and disadvantages. And also, I do really want to talk quickly about one other document I sent you. Okay, so let me put that up on the screen here. So this is going to finish us with working on giving solutions and making suggestions. So again, this document was Unit 8, and it's on page 6 where you will find this. All right, so we're going to move on to another practice paper I gave you, and we're going to go through it really quickly. I think I went through it kind of quickly last time we spoke as well, or last time we had online class. Now, I'm not going to go into big detail like I did with the other papers. I'll let you read it, but just kind of remember, you do have this one. I have sent this to you. I sent it to you before our holiday. I may have even sent it the week before. So this one's Sunshine Hotel. Again, you've got the top piece of information that will tell you your name. It will tell you where you work. Like here, you work at Sunshine Hotel. It's a 4-star hotel in Hong Kong. And there are some problems. These problems are complaints from hotel guests. So remember, your boss is going to write you an email. They want to know the problems and why the problems happened. And then can you suggest some solutions to solve the problems? Okay. And remember, complaints from hotel guests can help you. The subject line can help you write your opening paragraph, which we can see right here, complaints from our hotel guests. All right, so then here are the problems, and there's more information. So we've got the problem, inconvenient location, more information about that. It's a 20-minute walk from the MTR. How do we fix it? Provide complimentary shuttle bus service. Our problem over here is buffet restaurant is too small. Why? What's more information? Overcrowded during peak hours. What should we do? Here's the one where there are two solutions, because remember, now you have the / and the question mark. So here's solution 1, limit the number of customers. You should give an advantage and disadvantage. Alternatively, extend the dining area. So that's solution 2, and you must provide the advantage and disadvantage. All right, careless staff at reception is a third problem. Why? What's more information about that? Wrong rooms were given to guests. You need to provide your own solution, and remember, add the advantage. Problem number 4 is room cleanliness is not up to standard. For example, rubbish bins were not cleared daily. What is the solution? Set clear work requirements for the cleaning staff, and again, you must add your own advantage to this. All right, so I did provide vocabulary. Vocabulary is down here. Okay, so you'll see that there is vocabulary if you want to go and look at this paper. And then like with all the other papers, this one isn't as detailed, but I did give you useful phrases to introduce problem 1, problem 2, and problem 3, and problem 4. So remember, P equals problem, P1 is problem 1, P2 is problem 2, P3 is problem 3, P4 is problem 4. All right, so phrases used to introduce the problem. So you can use this to begin with. Some guests complain that, SVO. Remember, it might not always be guests. Because we're talking about a hotel, the customers at a hotel are guests. But if we were talking about a school, maybe the people who complained were the teachers, or maybe the people who complained were the students. So you might have to change the word to match the group of people. And you can say, in addition, it was found that, SVO. You can say concerning, then say the problem, comma, SVO, and then lastly, SVO. Okay, so again, I also gave you phrases you can use to give more information about the problem. So we use since, so, a few people commented that. And this one they used for example, because why did they use for example for this one? Because you'll notice there is EG here. So that's why you had to use for example on this one. All right, and then to introduce the solution, you can say, therefore, I suggest that SVO. For problem 2, remember problem 2 is the one with the 2 solutions. You can say, to rectify the situation, we could consider, and then continue with your sentence, or alternatively, we could verb, no ing, no ed, no s. All right, so let's look at this one. To rectify the situation, we could consider. What else did they put? We could consider, and then continue with the solution. We could consider, it's probably going to have to be, not 100% of the time, but I'm having the feeling it will usually be with a verb ing for that one. All right, then let's see. Problem 3, it is strongly recommended that SVO, or problem 4, a possible solution would be 2. So these are ways to recommend the solution. And then for the advantages, we have so that. The advantage is that. All right, for problem, so that's solution 1 for problem 2. For problem 2, solution 2, they use the words to cater for were used, but this group of words will not always work. Okay, and you can see it right here. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. I hope you guys are okay with that. Alternatively, we could extend the dining area to cater for more customers. Okay, and then another way to introduce the advantage in this way, and then give the advantage using SVO, sentence pattern. Or again, notice they use so that for problem 1, and they also use so that for problem 4 to give the advantage, and then follow it with SVO. All right, and then phrases used to give the disadvantage. They used for solution 1 in problem 2, they use but, and then for solution 2, problem 2, they use nevertheless. All right, so this is one more that you can read and look at. This is Sunshine Hotel, 4-star hotel. So I believe we're going to look at it right now. So we've got about 20 minutes left, roughly 20 minutes. So the last thing I want to do for this class is now we really need to focus on this, because you're going to have to add advantage and disadvantage. Remember, there's 2 solutions. Solution 1, give the advantage and disadvantage, and then solution 2, give the advantage and disadvantage. Please remember, your company is not going to do both. Your company is not going to limit the number of customers and extend the dining area. No, your customer will do this, limit the number of customers, or extend the dining area. It won't do both. So please, please be careful. So we're going to talk about how to write this paragraph when you've got the 2 solutions and you need to talk about the advantage and disadvantage. All right, so that brings me to this next document. You don't have the document I'm about to show you, and I will send it to you. All right, let me see. It should be here. All right, let's talk about the students. I have been standing all this time and I need to sit down, so I need to move my laptop. So give me just a second. All right, guys, sorry, give me one more second. 2 more seconds. 3 more seconds. All right. Sorry about that. Let's continue. All right, so this is a new paper, a new document, okay? And this one is writing, ooh, what's that? This one is writing for a paragraph for this. So remember, when you see this, you've got 2 solutions. Solution 1 is right here. Solution 2 is right here. You need to give the advantage and disadvantage for both. All right, so this paper, this document, we're also going to discuss using although, however, or but. So first, let's talk about those. So we're going to go down to here. Okay, and I'm sure some of you know this, but just in case you don't, I'm going to go over this quickly here. So we've got the word although. Okay, this is what although means. All right, then we've got the word but. I'm sure a lot of you know how to use the word but. Okay, used to introduce an added statement, usually something that's different or opposite from what you just said. And we've got however, and we've got however here. Now, be careful. Notice in this definition, it says the words despite this. I would be really careful using despite this because some people who learn English do not know how to use the words despite this correctly. So in my opinion, my advice to you is to avoid using despite this because I've even seen, adults who speak English quite well not use this phrase correctly. So I would be careful. But you can use although, but, and however. All right, so we've talked about although, but, however. How do you use them in a sentence? Again, some of you are probably like, I know how to use them in a sentence, but let's just review really quickly. And those of you who don't, well, then here you go. All right, so here are the sentence patterns. Now for this, I wasn't going to write everything out. So A equals advantage, D equals disadvantage. Now remember, English is an SVO language, so you're not just going to write although and just write the words advantage or disadvantage. You do need to put a subject, verb, and an object, and somewhere in the SVO will be the advantage or somewhere will be the disadvantage, but I'm just trying to keep it very simple, okay? So when you use although, you're going to use although in one sentence, and you will notice that you use although at the beginning of the sentence. So you can use although and then say the advantage, comma, and then the disadvantage, full stop. But you don't have to. You don't have to put the advantage first. Like you can see right here, we put the disadvantage first. So although, disadvantage, comma, and then advantage. Again, you will need SVO here and here, but I'm just trying to tell you that where the advantage and the disadvantage will go in the sentence. Okay, so you use although to give the advantage and disadvantage. You put although at the beginning of the sentence, and you put advantage and disadvantage together in one sentence. Another thing you can use, and I'm sure this is the one most students are comfortable with, is using the word but. You use but in one sentence, and you put the advantage and disadvantage together in one sentence, and but goes in the middle after the comma. So again, you're going to have SVO with the advantage, then comma, but, and then give the disadvantage with SVO. Or if you want to put the disadvantage first, that's fine. You can put the disadvantage first in the sentence, comma, but, and then give the advantage. Again, you're going to need SVO on both sides of the sentence. You're going to need SVO here, and you're going to need SVO here. All right, next, we can also use however. However is a little different because it uses two sentences. So remember, although that goes at the beginning of the sentence, you put advantage and disadvantage together in one sentence. You can use but in the middle of the sentence, but advantage and disadvantage goes together in one sentence. If you want to use however, the advantage and disadvantage are in two separate sentences. So you can start talking about the advantage first, full stop, start a new sentence, however, comma, and then say the disadvantage, full stop. Again, you're going to need SVO here, and you will need SVO here. Or if you want to, you can put the disadvantage first in one sentence, full stop, start a new sentence using the word however, comma, and then the advantage. Okay? All right, so there's that. Again, you're going to need SVO here, and you're going to need SVO here. And somewhere in the SVO, you're going to need the advantage and the disadvantage. All right, so those are the sentence patterns of although, but, and however. And again, we've talked about what they mean. All right, now you will notice that I have 4 different paragraphs here. So this is from the Institute of Professional Education. I gave this to you 3 or 4 weeks ago. This was the very first practice paper and sample answer for the assessment that I gave you. All right, but we call it assessment, but now it's called take-home assignment. That's 60% of your grade. So remember, we're talking about right here, early bird enrollment discount. That's the solution 1. We've got the full stop and then the question marks. Now we have solution 2, book coupons to participants. So remember, these, I'm focusing on all the paragraphs where you have the / and the question mark because you have 2 solutions. Solution 1 right here and solution 2 right here. Okay, so early bird enrollment discount is solution 1, book coupons to participants is solution 2. That's the first one. Then Sunshine Hotel, we just talked about that a few minutes ago. For Sunshine Hotel, the 2 solutions, remember, were limit the number of customers, that's solution 1. Solution 2, extend the dining area. Okay, for the next one we have, this is from Wan Chai Tennis Club. So this was our previous class before the holiday. So this one was provide training to bartenders. That's solution 1. Solution 2, only sell canned drinks. And then this last one, this is the one we did today. Ignore the week 11. I don't think that's from week 11. Okay, so we'll just leave it there. So company website, that's one we did today at the beginning of class. So remember, we have change to black text and white background, that's solution 1. Alternatively, invite web designer to give advice, that's solution 2. All right, so now we're going to analyze how to write this paragraph, especially when you have to talk about the 2 solutions. So the first thing I want to point out to you is the very, very, very important word alternatively. Remember, when you start talking about solution 2, you need to use the word alternatively. You cannot, 不可以, use and or also, because it does not mean the same thing. So you need to use the word alternatively. So I'm going to highlight that in each paragraph in blue so you can see it easily. Okay? Because the company will not do both solutions, only one. Okay? All right, and then we've got this one here as well. All right, so that's the first step. All right, now, let's see. Now we need to find the solution. So let's find solution 1 first. Okay, so actually what we want to do is we want to find the advantages and the disadvantages. I guess we should find the solutions too. I guess I should have used a different color. Let's see here. Let's do the solution. This is going to get maybe a little bit colorful, students. So we're going to do all right, so we're going to highlight the solution. I'm going to put that in gray. Okay, then when we find the advantage, we're going to put that in yellow. And we're going to put the disadvantage in green. All right, so we've got expensive course fee, 15% increase from last year. So expensive course fee is the problem. 15% increase from last year is more information about it. So we have, in addition, negative comments were received concerning the expensive course fee, which has increased by 15% from last year. All right, to improve the situation, I suggest offering an early bird enrollment discount. So, all right, here is solution 1, okay? So remember, I'm going to put the solution in gray. Then we need to find the advantage and disadvantage. So here's our sentence. Let me make this a little bigger for you. All right. Although the discount might result in a slight decrease in income, it will attract more people to join our training courses. All right. So which one is the advantage? Which one is the disadvantage? Because we're using the word although here. Okay. Although the discount might result in a slight decrease in income, so that means the income, the profit might be smaller. So that is the disadvantage. They put the disadvantage first. But it says it will attract more people to join our training courses. So when you're attracting more customers, that's a positive thing. So that is the advantage. Now, which words did they use to introduce the advantage and disadvantage? They used the word although. Okay, so remember we're talking about although, however, or but. So they used although in this one. All right, so that's just for solution 1. Now we're not done though. We got to talk about solution 2. So alternatively, the company could give out book coupons. And so remember we have right here book coupons. All right, so this is solution 2 right here. All right, now we need to find the advantage and the disadvantage though. So we have which can benefit the course participants and will not involve too much expense. However, some administrative work will be involved in purchasing and distributing the coupons. All right, so out of all of this, what's the advantage and what is the disadvantage? All right, if you said which can benefit the course participants and will not involve too much expense, if you said that's the advantage, you are correct. Good. So this must be the disadvantage, which I'm highlighting in green. Remember, I told you up here. Okay. So, however, some administrative work will be involved in purchasing and distributing the coupons. How did they introduce the disadvantage? They used the words however. Let me highlight that for you. Okay, so they used although and however to talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Remember, you really should use alternatively to introduce solution 2. And then I've highlighted the advantage and the disadvantage in yellow and green. And the solutions are in gray. All right, so let's do that again for another one. Sorry, students. Oh, no, we're not done. This is the other thing. I want to talk about words that they used. Now, when they gave the disadvantage here in green, the words they used were might result in. So when you give the disadvantage, you can use the words might result in and then talk about the disadvantage, okay? For the advantage, they said it will attract more people. So you can say will, you might be able to use the word it, but you can definitely use will. And then you're going to need a verb to give the disadvantage. Attract is the verb they used here, and attract is a good verb. Will it work in every situation? No. So that's why I'm not highlighting the verb attract, but it is a good verb. You could possibly use it, but again, maybe not. It depends on the information the test gives you. All right, so we used might result in to introduce the disadvantage and will plus verb to introduce the advantage. All right, what about this one? For the second solution, they used which can benefit the course participants. So they used which can to introduce the advantage, because advantage is in yellow, and they use the verb benefit. So you will need a verb here. You can't just write which can the course participants. You will need a verb. Benefit is a really good verb. You might be able to use it in the assessment, but again, depending on what information they give you on the assessment, you might be able to use the verb benefit, you might not. So you just have to be careful and decide. But again, you can use which can plus verb to introduce the advantage highlighted in yellow. What words did they use to introduce the disadvantage here in green, besides the word however? They also used the words will be involved. Now this is passive voice. It says some administrative work will be involved. You could, I'm trying to see if you could say this in active. You could do it this way. However, purchasing and distributing the coupons will involve some administrative work. Then that would be active. So you don't have to be passive, but you will use the words either will involve if it's active or will be involved if it's passive. So when you use the words will involve, that means kind of like this will include or this will require something. So you usually use these words when you are introducing the disadvantage, okay? Because you're basically saying there's going to be more work somehow. And if there's more work, most people consider that a disadvantage. All right, so again, will be involved is passive, will involve is active. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh my gosh, it's 10:57. All right, students, we will finish this in our next class next week. So let's check the, I'll send this document to you tomorrow. We have, I think we only have one more class, and then we've got, I think the 30th is a holiday. I'm not sure. I will try to hold some extra practices online. I will have to send an email, and they'll just be 1 hour extra practices, but we still have enough time. We'll continue with this paper next week, okay? Talking about the advantages and the disadvantages, words you can use, and then other words you can use to introduce the advantage and disadvantage. I will send you an email with more practice papers and with these papers that we've used in class today. So yeah, that is it. We do have class tomorrow, or next week, I should say. Which is next week. Next week is the 23rd. All right, so I've noticed some people have already left class, which, all right, class wasn't over yet. All right, so yeah, students, that's it. I'll send documents to you tomorrow. I will try to set up some extra practices that are an hour long. I did send an email about other extra practices that the school is also offering. All right, so that's all, students. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll stick around for a little bit and help you. That is all. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Any questions? Any questions? All right, we are finished, guys. You're free to go. Happy Thursday. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Have a good Thursday.